What up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Who Wore It Best? Jersey Royale. As always, I'm your host, Kaleigh Krish. This is a new year, and you might be new to the channel. So why don't we take a quick recap on how things work, shall we? Each week, I pick a number from 0 to 99, and then I go into the vault of sports knowledge and break down the greatest players to wear that number from every single sport. Once we have our candidates, I will determine who wore the number best, who's the hands-down greatest athlete to wear that jersey, and from there on, the debate is over, folks. That's it. No questions asked. Now, if you were with us last time, you already know what the number we are going to do this week is. This is our part 2 of the greatest to wear the number 7. Now, on the last episode, we talked about the careers of Ivan Pudge Rodriguez, Tim Horton, Ben Roethlisberger, Joe Theismann, and of course, our crowned Part 1 champion, Cristiano Ronaldo. But the number 7 has been worn by so many greats that we just had to do a Part 2 and give you all 5 more candidates of who wore it best. So, are you ready for Part 2? Let's get into it. First up on our list is NBA baller, number 7, Carmelo Anthony. Melo is known as one of the greatest scorers in NBA history and was recently named the NBA 75th anniversary team. In his freshman year at Syracuse from 2002 to 2003, Melo averaged 22.2 points and 10 rebounds per game, earning the consensus pick for NCAA Freshman of the Year. He helped lead the Orange to its first ever NCAA tournament title, leading the team in scoring, rebounding, minutes played, field goals made, and free throws made and attempted. During the road to victory, while playing the University of Texas in the Final Four, Anthony's 33 points set an NCAA tournament record for the most points by a freshman. In the championship game against the Kansas Jayhawks, he had 20 points and 10 rebounds. And for his effort, Melo was given the tournament's Most Outstanding Player award. With that stellar performance, Melo decided he had to strike while the iron is hot and declare himself eligible for the 2003 NBA Draft. The Denver Nuggets selected Carmelo 3rd overall, and in just his 6th professional game, Anthony scored 30 points, becoming the 2nd youngest player in NBA history to score 30 points or more in a game, and it was the fewest games a Nuggets rookie took to score 30 points. In his rookie season, he would average 21 points, which was more than any other rookie, but would come 2nd in NBA Rookie of the Year voting, finishing runner-up to, who else? LeBron James. Carmelo spent 8 seasons with the Nuggets wearing number 15, and it wasn't until he got to the New York Knicks that he would change his number to 7. In 2013, Carmelo Anthony went on a Knicks franchise record of 6 consecutive games with at least 35 points. No player had scored at least 35 points in 5 straight since Kobe in 2006-2007 season. He became the 2013 NBA scoring champion with 28.7 points averaged. In 2016, Anthony became the 5th active player to eclipse 23,000 points, joining 28 other greats to gain that milestone. In his career, Melo played 1,064 games, averaged 24 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, and 3 assists. He was a 10-time NBA All-Star, 7 consecutive from 2010 to 2017, and he's got some pretty great Olympic Games stats as well, winning gold in 2008, 2012, and 2016, and a bronze in 2004. Melo holds the record for the most Olympic medals in the NBA and was the first player in U.S. men's basketball history to win 3 gold medals, a record that was recently tied by Kevin Durant. And Anthony is also the career leader in scoring, rebounding, and games played, becoming USA Basketball's most decorated Olympian. Carmelo Anthony also shares the NBA record for the third most points scored in one quarter with 33. And if you're a fan of the show, you know who he shares that record with. Mr. George Gervin. There we go, folks. First on our list. Or is this 6 on our list? I don't know. Either way, this guy is one of the greatest to wear the number 7. But will he claim our second title? You'll just have to stick around and find out. Next up is quite a controversial person. But hey, we aren't here to debate morality, only sportsicity. Yeah, that's right. So let's dive into our next career of Michael Vick. Now this guy paved the way for the dual threat quarterbacks to run all over the competition, pun intended. Without the success of Michael Vick, the NFL would not see guys like Cam Newton, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson, the list goes on. Now Vick's rushing stats in 2010 is what provided the foundation for the acceptance of the mobile quarterback. With a league-leading 676 yards and 9 touchdowns, he was the status quo for being able to remain on his feet, avoid the rush, and extend plays and come up with positive yardage. No defenses during this time had seen a QB so successful at this. Now, Vick started his dominance leading Virginia Tech as a redshirt freshman. In his first game, he would score 3 rushing touchdowns in just over 1 quarter. He led his team to an 11-0 undefeated season and advanced to the Bowl Championship Series national title game. Vick would single-handedly bring his team back from a 21-point deficit. However, Tech would end up losing that game. Vick would finish 3rd in Heisman Trophy voting, matching the highest finish ever by a freshman up to that point. In his 3 years at Virginia Tech, Vick rushed for 1,216 yards and averaged 5.5 yards per carry, and scored 17 rushing touchdowns. This added to his 187 completions for 3,279 yards and 21 passing touchdowns, leading Vick to being inducted into the Virginia Tech Hall of Fame in 2017. Look, I also want to point out how fast this guy is. On his pro day workout, Vick ran the 40-yard dash in 4.33 seconds. His time being clocked as low as 4.25 seconds. That is the fastest ever for an NFL quarterback. Vick was selected first in the 2001 NFL Draft by the Atlanta Falcons. In his season finale of his rookie season, Vick accounted for 234 of Atlanta's 255 yards. In 2006, Vick became the first quarterback to rush for over 1,000 yards in a single season. And he also set a record by rushing for an average of 8.4 yards per carry. Michael Vick is a 4-time Pro Bowler and holds the NFL record for most rushing yards by a QB with 6,109 and the record for average yards per carry with 7. All right, let's keep this train rolling and move on to our next best to wear the number 7. We are going back in time to talk about the Mick. The Commerce Comet, that's right, Mickey Mantle. Mickey played his entire MLB career from 1951 to 1968 with the New York Yankees as a center fielder and first baseman. He is one of the best players and sluggers and was regarded by many as the greatest switch hitter in baseball history. Mantle was one of the greatest offensive threats of any center fielder. He has the second highest career OPS plus among center fielders behind Mike Trout. And he had the highest stolen base percentage in history at the time of his retirement. Mantle hit 536 career home runs, batted 300 or better 10 times, and is tied for league in walk-off home runs with 13. And he is the only player in history to hit 150 home runs from both sides of the plate. Mickey Mantle won the Triple Crown in 1956 when he led the major leagues in batting average with 353, home runs with 52, and RBIs with 130. Now, Mantle has claimed that this is his favorite summer. It would be mine too if I won a Triple Crown, the first of 3 MVP awards. I mean, come on. And side note, he is the only player to win a league triple crown as a switch hitter. It's impressive. In his career, Mantle was a 20-time All-Star, was an American League MVP 3 times, and won a Golden Glove in 1962. He made 12 World Series appearances with 7 championships and holds the World Series records for the most home runs with 18, RBIs with 40, extra base hits, runs, walks, and total bases. By the way, team doctors and training isn't what it is today, where you see, say, a football player go down with a knee injury, get immediate surgery and rehab, and be ready to play next season. No. All of these accomplishments and stats came with Mantle playing his entire career with a torn ACL. So what's your excuse? In his first complete World Series in 1952, Mantle was the Yankees' hitting star, with an on-base percentage of above 400 and a slugging percentage above 600. He homered for the 3rd Yankee run in a 3-2 Game 6 win, and he knocked in winning runs in the 4-2 Game 7 win with a homer in the 6th inning and an RBI single in the 7th inning. The Mick has been known for hitting some of the longest home runs in Major League history. In 1960, he hit a ball left-handed that cleared the right field roof at Tiger Stadium in Detroit, and based on where the ball was found, it was estimated to have traveled 643 feet. Another time, this time right-handed, he hit at Griffith Stadium in DC, and that was measured at 565 feet. 2 times, Mantle had hit balls off the 3rd deck facade at Yankee Stadium, nearly becoming the only player to hit a fair ball out of the stadium during a game. Another fun fact, Mantle was also one of the best bunters for base hits of all time. He is in 10th place in number of bases empty bunt singles for his career, with 80 in just 148 at-bats. On June 8th, 1969, the Yankees retired Mantle's number 7, and he was awarded a bronze plaque to be hung on the center field wall. In 1974, in his first year of eligibility, Mickey Mantle was elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame. And the Sporting News has placed Mantle at 17 on the list of baseball's 100 greatest players. All right, moving on to our next greatest player to wear the number 7, we are going back to the NBA with Pete Maravich. Now, Pistol Pete, not to be confused with the Pawnee resident of Parks and Rec. No, this Pistol Pete is the all-time leading NCAA Division I scorer and averaged 44.2 points per game. Maravich is considered one of the greatest creative offensive talents and one of the best ball handlers of all time. In just 3 years playing on the varsity team at LSU, Pistol Pete scored 3,667 points, led NCAA in scoring, and was All-American in each of his 3 seasons. He was also a 2-time National College Player of the Year and a 3-time SEC Player of the Year. Now, Maravich had a long-range shooting ability, and unfortunately, he played before the advent of the three-point line. He was also playing before the shot clock came into play, which results in more opportunity to score. Now, imagine how much higher his records would be if he were playing in today's game. In his 3rd season with the team, he and teammate Lou Hudson became only the 2nd duo in league history to each score over 2,000 points in a single season. Maravich posted a 26.1 average, 6.9 assists, and 2,063 points, and made his first ever NBA All-Star Game appearance. 1974, with a new expansion team coming, New Orleans was looking for a face for the franchise, and they wanted Pistol Pete, someone to generate excitement among new basketball fans. Plus, he was already a celebrity in the state from his days at LSU, right? In his first season with the Jazz, Maravich averaged 21.5 points per game. The team as a whole struggled. The Jazz added some supporting cast, and Maravich had his best season in 76-77. He led the league in scoring with an average of 31.1 points per game. He scored 40 or more in 13 games and 50 or more in 4 games. And in one game against the Knicks, Pistol Pete scored 68 points. And at the time, this was the most points ever scored by a guard in a single game. And only 2 other players at any position had ever scored more: Wilt Chamberlain and Elgin Baylor. And fun fact, when Pete scored the 68, Elgin Baylor was the head coach of the Jazz. That season, Maravich earned his 3rd All-Star Game appearance and was honored as All-NBA First Team for the 2nd consecutive season. In his career, Maravich was a 5-time NBA All-Star, 2-time NBA First Team, the NBA scoring champion in 1977, and he made the 50th and 75th NBA anniversary teams. His number 7 has been retired by both the Utah Jazz and the New Orleans Pelicans. All right, people, we are coming up on our last candidate for part 2 of the greatest to wear the number 7. Now to recap, so far we have unveiled the careers of Carmelo Anthony, Michael Vick, Mickey Mantle, and Pete Maravich. Now, the last one on our list tonight is, come on, who did I forget? That's right, John Elway. John Elway is considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, spending his entire career with the Denver Broncos. In his college days, he became the starting quarterback as a sophomore and would throw 27 touchdown passes that season, which was 2nd in the NCAA. In his senior year, Elway would be a part of one of the most ridiculous plays in college football, known as the play. Now, Stanford was in a must-win situation to make a bowl game, and at the end of the game, it looked like the Cardinal was gonna pull out a win 20-19 over the Cal Bears. However, there was 4 seconds left on the clock after the go-ahead field goal. And I'm sure you have all seen the image of what happened next. On the kickoff return, the Cal Bears lateraled 5 times. Now, 2 of them pretty controversial, I might add. So much so that the Stanford band was out on the field celebrating the Cardinal win. But the game wasn't over, and the Cal Bears would run into the end zone, trampling the band and beating Stanford and dashing their hopes of a bowl appearance.
Harmon will probably try to squib it, and he does. Ball comes loose, and the Bears have to get out of bounds. Rodgers along the sideline, another one. They're still in deep trouble at midfield. They tried to do a couple of... The ball is still loose as they get it to Rodgers. They give it back now to the 30. They're down to the 20. Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. He's going into the end zone. The Bears! The Bears have won! The Bears have won! Oh, my God! The most amazing, sensational, dramatic, heart-rending, exciting, thrilling finish in the history of college football.
Now, despite never leading his team to a bowl game, Elway had a great college career. In his 4 seasons, he completed 774 passes for 9,349 yards, 77 touchdowns, and 39 interceptions, while also scoring 5 rushing touchdowns. And in 1982, with his 24 touchdown passes, he led the nation. At the conclusion of his college career, Elway held nearly every Pac-12 record for passing and total offense. He won Pac-12 Player of the Year honors in 80 and 82, and was the consensus All-American and finished 2nd in Heisman Trophy voting as a senior. In 2000, Elway was enshrined into the College Football Hall of Fame and has been ranked 15 on ESPN's top 25 players in college football history list. Now, here's a story I didn't know until doing research on Elway's career. But in 1983, during the NFL draft, the Baltimore Colts had the 1st overall pick. But Elway did not want to play for the Colts. They were among the worst teams in the league, were located on the East Coast with some of the harshest winters, and he is a West Coast boy, and had a head coach in Frank Kush who didn't have a great reputation. Now, Elway refused to play for the Colts. He basically tied their hands by telling them that if they drafted him, he would play for the New York Yankees instead. Because, of course, he was such a good athlete that he had been drafted by the Yankees as well. Yeah. With Elway forcing the Colts' hand, they ended up drafting him and trading him immediately to the Denver Broncos. I wonder what kind of world we would live in today if John Elway would have been a Yankee instead of a Bronco. We're gonna have to butterfly effect that sometime. Could be interesting. Anyway, in 1986, Elway led the Broncos to Super Bowl 21 after defeating the Cleveland Browns in an AFC championship game. In the span of 5 minutes and 2 seconds, Elway led his team 98 yards in 15 plays to tie the game with 30 seconds left in regulation. Now, they would ultimately win in overtime, which is great. But they would give up the lead in the Super Bowl and lose to the New York Giants. Next season, Elway would go back to the Super Bowl after again defeating the Cleveland Browns in the AFC Championship. But history repeats itself, and the Broncos would lose to the Redskins after having a 10-0 lead. But Elway did have some highlights in that game, including a 56-yard touchdown pass with only 1 minute and 57 seconds ticked down on the clock, which set a record for the fastest touchdown in Super Bowl history. Elway also became the first quarterback to catch a pass in the Super Bowl, recording a 23-yard reception on a halfback option play. 2 seasons later, Elway would lead his team to another Super Bowl appearance, but ultimately get blown out in another loss. Now, I bring up these Super Bowl losses because it is really hard to get to the Super Bowl, and this guy did it 3 out of 4 years. It is impressive despite the losses. Now, it would take Elway another 8 years, but eventually he led his team back to the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 32, facing the defending champions, the Green Bay Packers. Now, I'm going to skip over the next part. We'll move on. Yes, Elway would win his first Super Bowl. And again, he would take his team back the next season, defeating the Atlanta Falcons 34-19. Elway would be named MVP of Super Bowl 33, throwing 336 yards, 1 passing TD, 1 rushing TD, and only 1 interception. After his second Super Bowl victory, John Elway announced his retirement. Elway's stats are pretty impressive. He has one of the best winning percentages in league history with 148-82-1 and was tied for second most Pro Bowl selections for a quarterback at the time of his retirement with 9. He was named NFL MVP in 87, NFL Man of the Year in 92, and NFL Passing Leader in 1993. He is on the NFL's 1990s All-Decade Team and the NFL's 100th Anniversary All-Time Team. In 1999, John Elway's number 7 jersey was retired by the Denver Broncos during a halftime of Monday Night Football game and was inducted into the Broncos Ring of Fame that same night. He was also inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He got that gold jacket in 2004. Now also, I left you guys hanging with this fun fact in our last show, but Ben Roethlisberger wore number 7 because he idolized Elway, and obviously, he honored him well. There we have it, folks. There are the 5 players added to this part 2 of who wore number 7 best. Now, who will reign as champion alongside Cristiano Ronaldo? Well, we will get to that momentarily. Now remember, I got 5 other episodes on YouTube playlists that are awaiting your view, your thoughts, your feelings, all of it, so you know what to do. Head on over to Titan Media Collective YouTube page and hit subscribe. Then go to the Who Wore It Best playlist. Go watch them if you haven't seen an episode yet. While you're at it, share the content with your friends and hit that like button. All right, now that all the housekeeping is in order, it is time to reveal who was crowned the Part 2 champion of Who Wore It Best number 7. Drum roll, please. It's the Mickey Mantle. Yes, another Yankee great to wear it best. Need I remind you, 7 championships? And the guy never really had a bad season. Yes, people will argue that the last few years of his career were terrible, but let's take a quick look. In '67, Mantle averaged .245, but the league batting average was .236. Only 4 American League players batted at least .300. That's right, just 4. He still hit 22 home runs and had .391 on-base percentage and slugged .434. So come on, if that's your worst years, I'll take it. And last fun fact about Mr. Mantle, in August of '22, his 1952 mint condition baseball card sold for a whopping $12.6 million. Big Al, was that you? Damn. All right, folks, that concludes our Who Wore It Best Jersey Royale of the number 7. Now, I'd love to know your thoughts. Who do you think wore it better between Cristiano Ronaldo or Mickey Mantle? I'm gonna let you decide that one. Stay connected to see which number will be battling it out next. See ya.